Hoy, hoy, everyone, and welcome to the Chip and Company Podcast Network. Today, we are doing something very special. We are calling this two-part interview the Loungefly Special, where we sit down with the team at Loungefly, talking about all the incredible Loungefly products, ears, bags, pins, apparel, and so much more.
That's right, Greg. We're going to be interviewing Derrick Baca and Liz DeSilva, Senior Vice President of Creative, and also learning how they come up with the products that we know and love over at Loungefly.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is our co-host, Mark Valentine. Mark, this is going to be amazing. Let's get right into it. In the first part of our episode, we have a fun and candid conversation with Ilana McBride, the Director of Marketing and Social Media here at Loungefly. She has been in the fashion and entertainment industry for 14 plus years, working for the Walt Disney Company, Bloomingdale's, and Shop Hers, which is now Tradesy. At Disney, Ilana managed digital brands including Disney Style, Oh My Disney, and Mini Style, growing the conglomerate millennial audience in time for its new streaming service launch. She led the strategy for Disney Plus on YouTube before merging her love of fashion and pop culture at Loungefly. Ilana McBride received her Bachelor's of Science degree in Design and Merchandising at Philadelphia's own Drexel University. Let's bring her on now, Mark. Friends and family, please welcome to Chip and Company Podcast Network, Ilana McBride.
Hello. That was a mouthful. Wow.
It was, you have to get this right. And I want to show you the respect that you deserve, because people are clamoring to hear directly from Loungefly. So we are excited you are here. We're going to go over just a few quick questions, but I just want to say thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I've been a long time follower of Chip and Company, so very excited to be here.
Yeah, I literally just posted more Loungefly stuff on our Instagram. So whoever is over there liking our stuff, we appreciate it, because it feels like we're having a direct connection.
Love it. That's what we always try to do, and make sure that people on the other side feel like there's real humans over here, not a machine.
What's really nice is for our audience. So we had the pleasure to meet you at D23 at the Loungefly booth, and are honored you're joining us today. I want to thank you so much for your time. I want to start off with something fun here. So a product the fan base is going to go crazy over, and knowing your social media is about to blow up the next day when you release this product into the world. What is the feeling like the night before you're about to drop something major? Is it butterflies? Are you restless? Or by now it's old hat? And can you give us an example of what a hot product does for social engagement?
Okay, so
that's a big question too.
Yeah, no, it's a great one, because truly what I always want people to know is that we are equally hardcore fans over here. So it's really a lot of just giddiness from the whole team, and it's not just it's not just one person. Everybody is very excited. The designer, everybody who worked on the bag, the social team, the photo team who took photos. Everybody's we've seen this product for months now, and so for something to go into the world finally, we're like, the site team is like all hands on deck. So it's really a huge team effort. And everybody's just so excited. Even down to like our warehouse team is like, let's get it out. It's been here. Let's, send it to the fans. So it's really a sense of giddiness, I should say, especially at least from my team. And then as far as like, what does that mean for our engagement? Fans, we start putting it out there in the days before, right? We start announcing it and giving a lead up time, really give it its good marketing window. And so we see that build up. We see fans get excited. We want to make sure we're answering all the questions ahead of time. Where can we get it? What's the best way to shop it, to make sure that it's in my cart and I don't lose it? Because we know fans get a little bit upset if it is in their cart and it gets grouped under. Yes. So we want to make sure that everybody is as prepared as possible in the lead up. And so that type of engagement is not just good for, for the brand and for our own social engagement, but we're really just trying to answer questions to make sure that fans are prepared for the 9 a.m. drop. So yeah, it's a giddy time.
And then Ilana, in the weeks after you guys have a drop, that's when, I mean, if you disagree, that's when it seems to be really fun, because that's when you guys are interacting on socials and you're pulling in like the influencers. You've worked with some amazing people, Straw Hat Goofy, from the Disney community, Bippity Boppity Beard. What do you look for in those collaborators when you guys are then, the product is out, it's been announced, people can get their hands on it. And then how do you go about that, working with those collaborators to then just focus on what the product is all about, which is just fun and excitement?
Yeah, that's a brand moment for us, right? It's all about building longevity with our brand, and that it's not just, here's the moment in time, we've sold it, it's done, who cares anymore? It really is about strengthening the brand with these partners. You mentioned Star Hat Goofy and Bibbidi Bobbidi Beard. We love them so much. They are also great advocates for, we call it like men wear minis. And so it really is about finding those partners who are going to live out this, what we want for the brand, which is that we are this lifestyle, that this is a Loungefly lifestyle. We're not just here to sell you a single product, but we're here to show you that being part of fan culture is an ongoing thing. And so we find people who are really going to support us in that endeavor and aren't just in it for the paycheck, in it for the moment, in it for the brand deal, but really who are living and breathing Loungefly every day.
So here's a question to follow up that.
Mhm.
You work obviously with a lot of small businesses, and you work with smaller shops a lot around the country, especially like even down here in Florida, there's a special shop down the street that is getting in, I guess, their own Loungefly drop coming up this week.
Mhm.
So can you give us an inside look at what Loungefly is looking at when selecting influencers and small shops? Like, you guys obviously know what works, and you also know what does not work, or obviously you wouldn't have this job. So what stands out to you? What is it like selecting these smaller shops?
Totally. So for small shops, our sales team looks into, first and foremost, the basics of, are they following our compliance, and legally are they compliant with the brand? And then they're really looking for, how are you going to support us? How are we going to support, we want to support you, but you've got also, it's a 50-50 partnership. So our sales team, we have a whole sales team that is really going out and looking for small shops. And then we also have, just at the bottom of our website, you can go and apply to be a small shop. We get applications every single day. We get people who reach out to us on social, and then we direct them to the link, because we are not making those decisions on social. And there really is an entire sales team who's doing the deep dive into who's going to be a good and compliant approved official Loungefly partner as far as small shops. For influencers, we are really looking for, again, people who are living and breathing this lifestyle, and not just going to the park for a single moment, but really are wearing their Loungefly, aren't afraid to wear their Loungefly or Disney Loungefly or whatever it might be, to the supermarket, to their everyday, things in their everyday life. We look for fashion influencers who are really incorporating it into their look and their everyday life. We look for family influencers who are, if you're watching Blue's Clues as a with your kids, but then you're the mom who feels that connection.
Which I don't mean to interrupt. That was one of the best bags of the year. I'm seeing Blue's Clues. Like, my family freaked out over that. So
yeah, I love that one too. And we have more Blue's Clues on the way, by the way. That's a nice little plug, first look plug for you for a sneak peek. But so we're constantly looking for what does the product mean to you in your life? Not just I go to Disneyland and therefore I need a Mickey Mouse backpack. That sells itself. We don't need to promote that in further than in selling in Disney parks. So that's sort of what we're looking for, is really the right influencer for each of the different properties.
So much of our audience is quite obviously Disney fans. What is it like working with that community? Because Disney and Loungefly have become synonymous, and you can't have Disney parks without Loungefly. So What is it like, and you have a Disney background, to work with that community specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so biased in this. I think our whole office is so biased in that we are all huge Disney fans. I'll take it back actually. So 2 years ago, as of 2 years ago, Loungefly had no marketing, right? We just weren't there yet. It was still very much a startup mentality. So there just wasn't any marketing. And since I was working on Disney Style, I used to promote Loungefly as part of this lifestyle that you wear Disney in your everyday life. And so I was asked to come over here to basically fuel that over here as the initiative for marketing here. So I've been working with Disney fans and within the Disney community for a very long time now. And you asked, like, is it easy? Is it easy to work with Disney fans? Is it easy to be in this community? I personally think that it is. There are definitely some aspects to the community that feels very transactional, for lack of a better way of saying it. There is very much a merchandise. I got to get my hands on it. That kind of mentality within Disney, that I think is great. But the harder part of our job is making it feel less transactional, that it's not necessarily about that it is about being part of this community. And sure, you might buy some things along the way.
Yeah.
And sure, we're trying to sell you some things along the way. But ultimately, it is about being part of a community. And there really is no other brand. I mean, you guys can tell me otherwise, but there's really no other brand that is so involved in its community and creating a sense of community. You don't see like Adidas, time rallying around a particular fan community. And so that is something that is a huge value for Loungefly. And we've got the whole team is involved in the Facebook groups, and we listen to people on social, and there's where everyone's involved in every aspect of the Disney community, because again, we are all true fans. So I think Disney fans actually make it a little bit easier on us, because that Facebook group already exists. We just had to get in it.
Are Disney fans unique in that, are we the only community that treat these drops like events? I mean, Disney fans clamor for, and you just mentioned, sometimes unfortunately it gets a little transactional, but I've never seen anything like it when there's a new Loungefly that's dropped. For instance, Purple Wall Loungefly. I was there. I was on the ground when that happened. I was a part of that fervor. What does that feel like? Or like, are there conversations that happen at Loungefly about the sentiments that kind of swirl around in the Disney community? Is there another community that does that? Or are we just unique in that we have a tenacity with these drops?
I think it's becoming more so in other communities that didn't exist before. And I think that's also only because of the growth of just being a fan and being open to being a fan. So we do start to see it now a little bit more often in like a Harry Potter community, and some of that might be pulling over from a crossover of I'm in the Disney community, but I'm also a Harry Potter fan, and now you're making this. So we are seeing that. We're seeing it a little bit more in anime as well. And so I as far as internal sentiment, there is definitely that fervor of it. Are we going to make that? It's our job to make that in other communities, right? Like Disney is great. And of course we're going to keep doing it in Disney, and it's always going to be bigger and bigger and bigger. But how do we also make that become available in other communities? So that's part of our job as a marketing organization across multiple licenses. Like you said, though, I think there's always going to be a collectability to Disney. There's, Disneyana is always going to be a thing. So that is definitely what is going to keep fueling the I got to get it right now mentality.
So I'm going to go off the marketing, what you just said, and that's so well explained. As director of marketing and social media at Loungefly, what is it? Do you have a holy grail anymore? Like when you're dropping something, does a bag going viral mean anything to a company like Loungefly? What would a holy grail moment be for you guys?
Yes, 100%. There is always going to be holy grail moments. We have them, we drop things every month. I mean, every day, sorry. And I would say that there's a holy grail moment monthly, at least once a month. It's hard for me not to look behind me. But I would say that before I even worked at Loungefly, the first holy grail, it's on this side. The first holy grail moment was rose gold sequin. And that was when I was at Disney Style, and we knew that was going to be huge. And we worked with Loungefly, we worked with parks, and we were like, we got to announce this. We got to be the first to market this. And it was truly the holy grail moment. It got picked up by a ton of press, and we did a big countdown for it. And so ever since then, we know that sequins are some of those holy grail moments. We've got our Disney Princess sequins series going on right now, and where we have each princess done in sequins, and like, we know those are going to be holy grail moments every time. We drop one a month, and we just know that those are always going to be instant sellouts. The first, few had sold out in the first one, I think, sold out in 30 seconds. Beyond that, it was like 2 minutes, and our buys get bigger. So there's definitely always those holy grail moments. One thing that I don't think fans really realize is that if something sells out in 2 seconds, let's say, and that's what is deemed sort of a grail, it just means we didn't buy enough of it on our website, right? Or that we didn't create enough, that we didn't predict well enough. If something doesn't sell out, we may have had the exact same, we may have actually thought to purchase more. So it was a holy grail that we actually anticipated correctly. Binks was a great example of that. Our Binks cosplay bag, still people to this day restock Binks from last Halloween. Every single day commenting restock Binks. We just didn't buy enough of it. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's is more of a grail than, say, something that we bought appropriately into, right? So that is just something I think fans don't really realize, because they're so focused on, this sold out in 2 seconds. Well, we don't buy everything. Not everything gets exactly the same amount of pieces. That's sort of what defines, I'm like, the definition of a grail is not that it sold out in a second, right? That's sort of a slap on our wrist that we didn't buy enough.
No, that makes perfect sense. I love that explanation.
As the marketing guru here, and we realize that it's like saying you have a favorite child. It doesn't exist. But do you have a favorite platform, or what do you think is the platform that just works best for Loungefly as a brand? Is it TikTok? Is it Instagram? We know that you guys are everywhere. What audience does Loungefly work best with in terms of marketing the product and the minis?
I'm happy you prefaced it with picking a favorite child, because it really is like picking a favorite child. Each platform acts differently for us.
Okay.
So again, it is like I'm one of 3. I have 2 siblings, and like my parents will always be like, I love this one because of this and this and this, and they're all the same. So I'll take you through that, which is that Instagram was the premier child, right? It's a visual. People need to see our product. They're familiar with, they want to see their IP that they're familiar with. So Instagram was that, and it still is pretty high up there. However, TikTok, we launched last December, and TikTok is very much a new audience for us. We see it the most when we do our live streams, because we put our phones quite literally next to each other, and Instagram on one side, TikTok on the other. Instagram is very much people saying, this looks like that Parks bag that, from last year, or, oh, great, so excited to see another, Captain America bag. So it's clearly people who have been here before.
That was my comment, by the way, not to interrupt you. That Captain America comment was quite literally probably me, because I have every single Captain America. I have Sam, I have Steve, I have Peggy. Any and all Captain America. Ilana, please keep them coming, if only to keep Mark happy.
All right, good to note. I'm making a mental note. So on Instagram, we'll see that. And then on TikTok, we literally see things like, do you have any Minnie Mouse bags? And like, to you guys, to me, or like, it pains me. I'm like, what do you mean? Do we have Minnie Mouse bags? So we see that going up on the in comments on the TikTok live. So we see a very different customer. It's very much new user acquisition, new on TikTok. Of course, there's some crossover and old people, but
right.
but it really is people who are not familiar with us, a slightly younger age demo, or just from a totally different, not near a theme park place. So it's a great platform for us for new users. And then Facebook, because Facebook in itself is becoming slightly older as the years go on. You know, you don't see very many 18-year-olds on Facebook anymore. So we know that platform is really, they're a lot more interested in very heavily nostalgia IP. They are not, there might be moms. We talk about the Blues Clues, the example, but there might be, moms who are interested in different IP. I was trying to think of one off the top of my head that I know blew up on Facebook, but didn't on other platforms, but I can't think of it right now. But we do make those notes of that, of like, this is a property that is resonating with the Facebook audience, but is flopping on TikTok because that's slightly younger. And then Twitter is really like, it's got to be fast. It's a fast moment. It's in and out, and we got to keep them entertained, even with just, a tweet that's just an emoji to say, I think we tweeted just an alligator one time, and that meant that we had alligator Loki coming, or like something about an alligator Loki coming. And it, people were thrilled, and all it was an emoji, and that would not pass on any other platform. So our social strategists are definitely looking at that. Like, how do I strategize what the audience wants on each of these different platforms?
Can I just say, I'm literally blown away right now because you just schooled me on that. I've worked in social media for a few years now, and I do post on Facebook. We do post on Instagram, and thinking about the demographics that way literally just opened my eyes while we were doing this interview. And I was like, oh, of course. Like, so thank you so much for explaining that. Let's get to something really fun for a second. So you worked obviously for Disney for a while. You're now at Loungefly. Do you still have a favorite character? And do you have a Loungefly bag, or do you have Loungefly ears? Because I'm sitting here with my Chip and Dale Loungefly Christmas ears from last year, and they're my absolute favorite ones in the world. So do you have a favorite character, and do you own something of that?
Okay, so my favorite character is Kronk, for many reasons. I think he's goofy, funny. He reminds me a little bit of my husband. He's Jewish I believe, celebrates Hanukkah. I'm Jewish. So, I like Kronk for a number of reasons. I will say that Kronk, not my favorite Loungefly bag. I like Kronk as a character, but I think, and this is something that we always talk about as a marketing team, just because you love the character doesn't necessarily mean that you love wearing the character, right? And that's not to say that you don't want it to be represented, but sometimes they just don't translate. You might be a really big fan of some character that just doesn't translate into wearable fashion, and we get that as an issue internally all the time, where we're like, this is going to do so well, people love this character, and then it just bombs as a bag because it just doesn't translate. So Kronk, not my favorite Loungefly. I do like that Loungefly bag, but our most recent Devil Kronk one I did really love, but it is not my favorite. My favorite bag is my Mighty Ducks. It's a mesh Mighty Ducks.
I know that bag. I love that bag.
I love it because it is so, it's more niche. I do love the Mighty Ducks, but it is one of the few live actions that translates well into a Loungefly because the jersey is so iconic. There are not very many live actions that we've translated into Loungefly because they are real human faces. Sometimes we don't have those that likeness to be able to use them, or sometimes it just is like they don't have an iconic outfit, and Mighty Ducks does. So the Mighty Duck, and it's mesh like the jersey, and I love Charlie Conway, and it says Conway on the back. It's just
the colors of that bag. That bag, mint. I love that bag. I can't think of a better choice. I approve. So
nobody sees you wearing that bag and isn't like so like, oh my God, is that a Mighty Ducks bag? And even if you don't know Loungefly and you're not like a hardcore Disney fan, you're still like, that's a cool bag.
You get a lot of love. Wearing them locally here in Pennsylvania, I will tell you, I do get a lot of love whenever I'm rocking the mini. And I'll tell you, Cole and Straw Hat are right. Greg will tell you, because we're two of the club. Men wear minis.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, yeah, and it is A-okay. So speaking of IP and just the fun that on all of the brands and all of the different intellectual property, anything new or exciting on the horizon for Loungefly that you can talk about today? Is there anything that you could say, hey, be on the lookout? Like, do we have any crocodile emojis maybe in the pipeline?
Well, I'll give you a handful of things. First,
Okay.
I'll give you some that we have already teased into the world, which is yes, men do wear minis, but we also have a whole line of unisex Loungefly coming next year. There are larger styles, there are messenger styles, there are sling styles. It is very much intended to be a little bit more street involved and more street fashion, so that because we do get I'm a bigger guy. I don't want to wear a mini. And, you know, like you said, Cole, Straw Hat, they're all going out and fighting that fight for us because, of course, you can wear a mini. But we are bringing this new line in really to introduce new lifestyles, right? We talk about Loungefly as a lifestyle brand. Well, we don't currently offer something for that lifestyle or for the working girl who needs the messenger. So we do have this unisex line coming later next year. We also we just announced our Cross Buddies bag, which is a patented design that is a passport style bag that has like 3 different ways to wear it. It has a wristlet that you can take off and put inside. You can flip it so your character is holding one thing on one side and then flip it to the other side and it's holding something else. No other bag has been designed like that. So we do have this patented design called Cross Buddies. That was just announced, and we have our first one, which is Piglet, releasing, don't quote me, but I believe November, potentially. Nope, not November. January. Anyway, don't quote
That's
me.
close to November.
They're all it's like a bunch of children. You have a bunch of kids and you don't know how old all your kids are. That's me and the dates of our launches. So that's Cross Buddies. And then we just have a lot of new properties coming about that we haven't maybe seen. I think now we've been starting to prove ourselves a little bit more within the licenses that we already have. So Disney needed to see that we could do, one type of thing that they could then that we could do another. So I'll give you one teaser of an example, which is Figment. We have not done any Figment since forever ago and now Figment has had this sort of resurgence. We all know what happened with the popcorn bucket. Some
of us were there.
Yeah. So we do have some more Figment that we now have been able to prove to parks. This is something that people want to wear. Again, we talk about that wearability and they said, this is an icon, but do people actually want to wear it? So we do have something like that. There have also been some parks properties that they're allowing us to utilize in our main line. So we just released the first of that, which is Haunted Mansion. We have our pop style Haunted Mansion bag that is now not just a parks exclusive. So it used to be that parks attractions needed to stay on parks exclusive Loungefly, but they're allowing us to take that out into our main line as well now. So that we can expand to, so that more people can get it beyond the parks. So there's some of that coming. There's some other IP that I'm not going to get into, but just know that if you've been waiting for something, hope that it's on the way. We always like to say that we are with you in the things that are missing. If they're missing, it's because it's a partnership and both partners have to want it.
But I will also say, like, I was just at Magic Kingdom, literally just 2 hours ago, and I watched the new mini polka dot black mini. Was it black back mini backpack with the white polka dots that just was released, Disney Parks Loungefly collection, and I watched it sell out. Like, I watched people just go in there, buy every single bag. So the original IBs and the original characters still are amazing, and there's still a fan base out there. So for people who are looking for the brand new, some of these other designs that have been out for a while are looking fabulous, and they're still doing amazing. It's amazing.
And I know a lot of Figment people that are going to be very happy with that announcement that you dropped.
And I honestly bought my first Loungefly bag at D23 when you guys dropped the Tron bag.
Whoa.
So I wear it everywhere I go now.
Yeah, now there is pretty, as you said, Loungefly synonymous with the parks or with Disney in general. That if it's a priority for the parks, if it's a priority for Disney, there's probably going to be a Loungefly with it. And now that's starting to peel into other properties or other licensors as well. But and our job as a marketing team is we want to be synonymous with anything fandom, right? Obviously, we've paved our way with Disney, but we have many more sports collections and anime.
Yeah, I got to get
music.
that new Phillies one since they made it to the World Series. I need a nice leather one with like the
Yeah, you
ball
do.
and the red and blue. Oh, come on. Or a Fanatic one. Oh,
That I know.
I know. I know you know. I know you know. That's why we're talking to you today.
So sports, music, music festivals, these are all things that a core Disney fan even still likes to do. And so it's all about taking what we already know and going, okay, well, what does that fan also like to do or also want to do? And how can we service them in all aspects of their life?
I love it. Very excited. But Ilana, we want to thank you so much for taking time with us here today at the Chip and Company Podcast Network. It was obviously, again, Greg said this earlier, but I just want to reiterate what a pleasure it was meeting you at D23 Expo. We really are excited. We're looking forward to seeing all these amazing designs, all the products that are in store for the future of Loungefly. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. And hopefully we can do this again sometime in the future soon.
Yeah, always happy to be a part of it. Thank you guys. Thank you for always supporting us. You guys are rule. You're always, first and always jumping on our new Loungefly. So we really appreciate the support. We know your fans are eager for Loungefly. So we want to help. We want to give them the news.
Give the people what they want.
That's it. That's all we're all here to do, right?
Yeah. Thanks, Ilana.
Thank you.
Hey guys, Diz Life Mark here, and I want to tell you all about the official travel partner here at Chip & Company. Let our good friend Sarah at Destination to Travel help you plan your next Disney vacation. Sarah specializes in planning dream vacations for your family. She's an authorized Disney vacation planner, and she can help with every step of your magical vacation. The best thing is that her services are 100% free. Want to travel beyond Disney? Sarah has you covered there too. Want to find out more? Fill out a trip request form over at the website at Chip & Co. or email her directly at sarahsolberg@d2travel.com. What are you waiting for? Start planning that dream vacation today. Email her at sarahsolberg@d2travel.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our calling the Loungefly special here at the Chip and Company Podcast Network. Please help me welcome both Liz DeSilva and Derrick Baca, who share the role of Senior Vice President of Creative, which is Funko's fan-forward lifestyle brand. Liz oversees the creative process, and also Derrick oversees the creative process of developing new and innovative accessories for the company and its extended brands, Loungefly Apparel and the Stitch Shop. In her role, Ms. DeSilva works closely with retail and licensing partners from the world's most iconic franchises and properties to bring unique fan-forward products to the market. She works in conjunction with the Loungefly VP of Merchandising and the brand's creative team to determine design direction. Derrick Baca, since joining in 2019, he has been instrumental in bringing Funko Pop pins to the market and launching Stitch Shop and the brand's first high-end apparel line, and also Loungefly Apparel, the company's casual apparel line. Liz and Derrick, thank you so much for joining us today here at the Chip and Company Podcast Network.
Thanks for having us. We're super excited.
So much for having the opportunity to speak to you guys. We love it.
Okay, so one thing I want to get right off the bat is both of your bios that I was just reading off go a little bit more extensive, but both of them have in there a reference to pop culture and how you guys like to collect. Does that help in your roles at Loungefly?
Yes. I think not just us. We are huge pop culture fans. We watch all the new things. We are collectors of comics, of
action figures,
sports cards,
toys,
pop culture art. I have a vintage 80s toy collection. So between the two of us, we collect a lot of things. And it's not just us, but also our teams are big pop culture fans. So we really have built up a team of pop culture experts. So everyone that is touching the Loungefly product, I would say, brings something to the table in their favorite fandoms.
And I'd say between Liz and I, we have over 40 years of experience in licensed products in the market. So we've seen so many trends happen in the past, years, that things that we're now saying, hey, look at this retro collection with Cartoon Network, going, wow, we're old now and we're now retro. And so that is kind of how the world of fashion. So we've been in the apparel industry. I was a toy buyer in the past, whether it's retail, wholesale. We just have a lot of years of various experiences. So pop culture has been our lives even before we knew each other.
That's amazing. So Loungefly has hundreds of unique and incredible products, bags, ears, pins, apparel. How do you keep coming up with new designs? Like, how do you keep it fresh? And I say that, for example, a bag like the rose gold sequin bag here for Disney. Do you use that as an example and see styles and trends change and then adapt?
I think that's a great example. The rose gold sequin is, I think, our most all-time best-selling bag at the parks. And it continues to sell. So I think it's a great example of like what we call an evergreen style. As Loungefly gets new fans that have not purchased Loungefly, that's typically a go-to bag. And from a creative perspective, we look at that, right? And we're like, there's something about these sequin bags that our fans are loving. It's a wow piece in their collection. So we've taken that and expanded into multiple sequin collections. Most recently, our web loungefly.com princess sequin collection, which has been doing phenomenal, is a great way that we take learnings from what people are liking, sequins, and freshen up something like a princess cosplay mini backpack and give it all new life. So we're always taking learnings from different collections.
Yeah, and when we work with the parks, we like to give them their own moment, right? So they have their own merchandising assortment. So we collaborate with them based on their directions and make sure that what we do with them is separate than what we do with our core line or any other retailers. So we like to give any of our retail partners their own moment in time. So it is a lot to really come up with, how do you shine up that new penny this way and that way? I think a big thing that we do, especially with our amazing art team, is we make sure everyone's watching every movie, every cartoon, whatever it is, because there's style guides in the universe, right? Mm-hmm. When you have a license, you use a style guide. We're not a big fan of the style guide. We like to create our own artwork. That's what kind of sets us apart. So in addition to that, we like to go deeper into the fandoms, not just the easy stuff that people would think of. We like to go, hey, who would ever go and do this character or that character? Like not just
or that
Mickey.
Scene of a movie. So yeah, we really dig into more fringe moments, and not necessarily the obvious.
And that's the challenge, because in style guides, those fringe moments don't exist. Those characters don't even have assets. So we have to create them.
Yeah, and that's why we've built an amazing creative team of over 30 creatives at this point. We have a robust team that really focuses on creating unique assets that only exist for Loungefly products, which is great.
Right. I mean, I'm sitting around behind my head here is the Tron backpack, mini backpack, which just having something like Tron come out, which is my childhood. I have now a relationship with this bag. So
yes.
Love that.
When Parks gave us that opportunity to do a Tron, I was like, I am immediately involved in that. I had that in my first VHS that I recorded with my own tape. I had that 100%. I have the action figures from Diamond. I've got all of that stuff, right? So I was so excited. I'm like, this bag has to light up. If this does not light up, it's going to kill me. So the disc and all that kind of stuff. So excited to work on that.
But I think that's kind of where Loungefly is special in the market, where there's not merch. Mm-hmm. Loungefly is willing to take a chance and make merch for those fans. So we all know that Mickey and Minnie are going to sell, but we're willing to give Black Cauldron a try, or some other fringe. Did I just?
You
did I
just
do a
blew my
spoiler?
head. You
Did.
mentioned the Black Cauldron, like even, I am such a fanboy and I can see that you guys are too. And that's the connection that I really want to get across to everybody is this is why we love Loungefly. It's not just going to the parks and seeing a Mickey and Minnie, even though we love Mickey and Minnie,
Yes.
but seeing something that talks to me personally, like Tron, like Black Cauldron, like even Black Hole, like you go deeper and deeper, the Rescuers, stuff that is not out there in the open market, but fanboys, we get to go nuts over. And I think that's the connection that we love about Loungefly.
Well, I think there's a bit of a misconception. People think we're this huge, monstrous company. We're really not. When we do something like it's fringe, maybe we make 2,000. We're not making 20, 30, 40,000 bags of things sometimes. So we're willing to take the risks of doing the smaller things and just do small runs just to get it out there to see, how it resonates.
I think a great example that we recently did was the High Republic for Star Wars. There's really no merch, and Derrick and I were actually at Downtown Disney last weekend, and we were walking towards the park to go do some research and maybe go on a couple rides. But we were there to mostly research, and we walked by two fans that were each wearing one of our Star Wars High Republic mini backpacks. So we went over to chat with them, and they were just so happy that there was merch available because they were huge fans of the comic books, as Derrick is. And so that's a really good example of we know there's fans out there of certain things that there is not merch for, and we're willing to take that.
And it's not
chance.
a huge property yet. Like I'm a comic book guy, so I love specifically Marvel comics, all those kind of things and a lot of indies, but like High Republic, that story, right? As a fan, you're like, what happened before what we know? Right. And this is kind of the origin story. So like I was immediately enthralled in this. And so when we decided we were going to bring it out, I'm like, are we being too nerdy? Is it too fast? Because it's not mainstream. But like we brought it out, and but for the fans that got it, they were just like, I just had no idea that it would be possible to get this merchandise before it was a movie or before it was something bigger. So they were just thanking us so much.
So I'm going off. You guys are saying so many amazing things that I'm now going off script and going to like different questions. But you mentioned not being a massive company, not being huge. So what was the first real Loungefly that was created? And we all have visions of Loungefly being, like you said, this giant company. Does it sit in a glass case? Is there a guard around it? Like, this was it. This is what built Loungefly. And you got a guard you got to go through, and like there's a museum for it? Or is it you guys are in a smaller corporation, correct?
Right. We're a subdivision. We're a division of Funko, right?
Which is a larger.
Yeah.
Right.
So Loungefly's been around for over 20 years.
Since 1998.
So Funko acquired Loungefly in 2017. So there was a lot of history before that. I was a buyer at a retail chain. I bought from Loungefly, so I knew the original owners.
And I carried Loungefly when I was in college. Some of my favorite tote bags were Loungefly.
So I would say that Loungefly as an accessory company has been a lot of things over time. The mini backpack, maybe in the past 10 years.
Yeah, definitely. The mini backpack wasn't even really a part of the original Loungefly look and feel. It was very tote driven. They had these great oversized totes with lots of appliques and embroideries.
Bowler bags.
Yeah, they had dome bags. They're dome style bags for Hello Kitty. Those were popular long before the Disney mini backpack.
The dome was probably the first thing that brought Loungefly to the mainstream in terms of that, because they had a great partnership, and still we do, with the Hot Topic and box lunches. But that dome bag was the mini backpack of like 10, 15 years ago. So it has been a fashion thing that's morphed over the time. So there's no like Grail bags in a museum or anything like that.
But I will tell you that we have talked about this. So it's funny you bring that up, because we do want our office to be more of an experience when our partners come. And we are working on really cataloging some of the, more groundbreaking bags and creating, not a full museum, but a fun experience when you come to our offices.
Right. So We know getting licensed for certain products can be a lot harder than people realize out there. What is it like working with Disney or say a Hasbro? Because we noticed that you're working a lot more with Hasbro products and stuff. What is that relationship like?
I think with the partnership of Funko, right? Funko has probably the most licenses than any company in the industry, right? By
Ever.
far, right? And so, as being a division of that company, where we're trying to expand into other licenses, they already have the contracts. So in many cases, we just ask for amendments to those contracts and say, hey, we want soft lines as a part of those hard line deals. So it's a little bit different as being a division of Funko, that they've already got the foot in the door. But in terms of the relationships, our relationships with each of those licensing partners are very different than Funko, because they're a hard line, is what it's called, and we're a soft line. So we work with completely different people in their product development sides and creatives, and on their licensing side. So we still have those close relationships with all of our partners. We love to have our do's and don'ts meetings. We make sure when we're submitting, we are communicating regularly so they understand our vision, we understand theirs. So there's still a really close connection.
I feel like for the average Loungefly fan, they sometimes don't understand the process of how licensing works. And we get a lot of requests on social of, why don't you do this or why don't you do that? So I think it's great that you ask that question and people understand that it is often a long process of creating these partnerships and getting contracts with licensors. It's not always a quick thing. So when people ask, why don't you have this? Why don't you have that? Or why aren't we getting this? We're always working on new partnerships, but a lot of those things do take time, and different partners have different restrictions of what you can and can't do. So there's a lot of reasons as to in the background of why we design what we do. So it's a very interesting part of the whole business that I think a lot of people don't even know how extensive the whole world of licensing is. So,
and a huge challenge with licensing is new properties. So let's take any kind of thing on Disney Plus, just a show, for example, right? That show premieres. In many cases, we don't even have a style guide to work with until it actually premieres. So they don't even know what's going to be hot or what's going to resonate. We all remember when The Mandalorian came out and Baby Yoda, as it was called before, because there was no name for it. It was Grogu. There was no product in the market because
it was
no one knew.
It was top
Only
secret.
Jon Favreau and them knew about it. So there was no product because we don't know about it. And with us, we have a production calendar, which is around a year or so. So in addition to not having the guides yet, we have our production calendar too. So people are like, why don't I have the product yet? Well, I'm like, there's a process, it takes some time.
And there's some things that we are lucky enough to get insight into earlier. And there's some things that even our partners at Disney or Marvel or Star Wars, they don't know from a consumer product standpoint until something airs. So it's a really interesting part of the way that we create product.
Right, because you could take something like when Encanto came out, and then you guys started working and building some ears, I think it was, and something else that came out. But Encanto hit the theaters and no one really cared about it, but it hit streaming and it became this massive hit. So yeah, taking a gamble on a license has got to be a little rough. So can you take me through that creation process? So you get a product or an IP in, then how do you guys handle that? Do you guys have, you obviously have these huge team meetings. You know what you can and can't do. I'm sure Disney or Hasbro or another one of these major corporations come in and say, yes, you can do this, and no, you can't do that. But how is the bag actually designed, and how are these ears designed? And not only that, but again, I'm looking at your shirt online going, the apparel, it just pops out so much. How does that process come together?
That's a
loaded question.
It's a mouthful. So there's a couple ways we like to break it down, right? So inherently, Loungefly, I would say, is a nostalgic brand, right? Mm-hmm. So there's obviously new things that come out, and we will always try to support that with our retail partners. But for the most part, we like to let things resonate in people's homes for a little while, get their affinities, right?
I think that's why it's funny that you mentioned Encanto and how once it was on streaming and people were able to have it in their homes and watching it multiple times, it really started to resonate. We really think as a brand, we watch for that moment where it becomes a part of a family's life and then they're ready to start wearing it, right? There's a difference between maybe getting a Funko Pop and getting a mini backpack that you're going to wear multiple days out of the week, or a shirt that you're going to wear out into the world. So from a fashion perspective, we definitely feel like we have to gauge that moment of when it becomes a part of everyone's everyday life.
Right. So let's talk about in terms of a process, right? How the creative process. All right. So as I said before, we kind of work on a 12 to 15 month calendar. And so from the start of the process is what we'll do is we will work on first identifying quarters at a time, right? So for us, January, February, March is Q1, and so on and so forth, right? So right now we're about to embark on spring 2024.
Q1
2024. Yes, Q1 2024. So that is January, February, March. So what we will do really is work with our planning and our merchandising teams and say, okay, I want to see what we did in spring 22.
What worked, what didn't work.
Spring 23, 22, and to get like a basis, let's go, what were the properties that we did?
Yep.
How many collections did we do? How many pieces in those collections did we do? So we get kind of like a framework of what we've done in the past.
Like a roadmap of where we've been and what worked and maybe what didn't work. And then I'd say next steps is we look at what's happening in the world during that time. Are there any anniversaries? Are there movie releases, holidays, things that we need to touch on?
Right.
Yeah, we work with our licensing partners, whether it's Warner Brothers or Nickelodeon or whoever. It's like, do you have marketing tent poles that we need to make sure we're aware of at that time? Because obviously we stick to the nostalgia, but like maybe there's an anniversary for something that they're gonna have big marketing bets, right? So we take all that information
and make like a plan. So then we have a creative calendar for that quarter of where we're gonna focus. And from there, for our main catalog, Derrick and I start concepting, and we start concepting for those different categories, what characters we want to focus on, what moments in movies. And that's at the point where we start pushing projects out to the artists and also to the design team. So if we're doing a collection and we say, hey, we need a figural bag shaped like a pumpkin, they'll start sketching up the silhouette and we'll review that. And then we start working with the creative team on all the art and graphics. That's typically a month-long process. And then we start reviewing materials and everything with product development. And once we're at a good place, we all hold hands on what the final collections look like. That's when it goes over to our licensed partners for review. And they let us know if we're breaking any rules or, all that fun stuff.
Right.
But we have great relationships.
So the reason I ask that is because our fans and most people don't understand that how long and how much of a process is into designing. Again, we have mostly Disney fans who listen to this. So to them, it's like, okay, well, Encanto, again, I'm going to use that example. You guys knew 2 years in advance that was going to come out, but you also did not know if it was going to be a massive success that it turned out to be. But I just wanted them to understand the process that goes into this instead of just going, oh, this movie came out, where's my merch?
And we also get very limited visuals. Like, obviously, like, a lot of times when a movie releases, there's dates of when you can have product on floor. And I think like Frozen is a great example. When Frozen came out, we were allowed to have certain assets, certain style guides available for prior to the movie, right? The month or so before the movie, you could have certain merchandise. And then once the movie came out and people understood the story, they didn't want to have any spoilers. So then there's additional guides that are made available to you later to make product that can sit on the floor after the movie releases. So it's a whole process of what you're allowed to see and work with at different points in that lifespan of the movie.
Right. So when you're the design team gets a hold of a new product or a new movie, a new IP that's coming out, do you guys look at it and go, okay, we are going to design apparel that goes with this and a bag and ears? Like, do you use the Disney term? Do you guys basically bound this? Like, is there a Disney bounding at Loungefly?
Right. So when we look at things a quarter at a time, we will identify what our big bets are. Right. What are those key properties that we want to make a larger selection? Because Loungefly, for the future, we're a lifestyle brand. We're not just going to be an accessory company, right? So we want we've had over the years, like when Liz and I joined, we want to start Stitch Shop, right? Which was the high-end, vintage-inspired clothing brand. And then as we were working on that, we just kept getting so many fans going, we love your bags. They're very hard to merchandise with because they're so colorful and so in your face. We would love to have something that it's easy to match with that.
And also it was during the pandemic, so people definitely needed like a casual approach to fashion, given we were all hanging out at home in sweatpants and sweatshirts. So that's really how Stitch Shop and LF Apparel rolled out into the world.
Right. And so when we look at a quarter, we say, you know what? Every month we want to have a strong lifestyle collection. Right,
or more than
one or two, whatever that is, right? So if we have something, it's going to be Stitch, for example, and we say, okay, for this one, you know what? We need to make sure we have a hoodie and a tee, and this is the color palette. We got to make sure, and we do this. We work with our design team on apparel and our design team and sourcing team on accessories to make sure that the colors match and that everything is coordinated within those assortments so it does completely go together. So we do think of that at the very front end. We don't really granularly get together as to like what exact items or what categories, but we just have a concept in mind and it kind of builds from there, right? Because we sell small accessories. We'll do an enamel pin set that matches that, or a 3-inch pin, or some keychains, or some lanyards. But then there's apparel. When it comes to Disney, specifically like Mickey and Minnie, that's where we can put in the ears, right? Because we do actually manufacture a lot of the ears for the parks as well, but we sell them on our core line, but it has to be within a collection. So we don't just sell ears on their own. It has to be a collection that goes with.
And it's actually more challenging than people may think, crossing over categories with one collection. Fun fact, if you know how we choose colors in the creative world is through Pantones. And Pantone has one system for textiles and apparel and a completely different system for our accessory digital printing. So we use two different color systems and have to try and constantly match and get like the best fit. So when you're looking at our hoodie and looking at our bags and you're like, wow, that orange is, the same. That is our amazing team working tirelessly to get colors that cross over between worlds. So they do a great job.
Right. When designing a new product and coming out with something new, do you guys ever get that feeling of this is going to be huge? Our fans are going to be blown away. Everybody's going to love this.
All the time. All the time. We get so excited. And I think especially like we'll have an idea and I'm like, this is going to be great. I'll give you an example. We did a wedding collection, a sequin wedding collection. And I was like, there's a need. There's so many people constantly having bachelorette parties, bridal showers, weddings. There's a need for that Disney fan to have a great Loungefly option. And I was really excited about it. And then we came up with the idea to make it interchangeable. So after your wedding, you can change out the bow so that it can just be a great everyday bag. And I thought it was going to be good. And then the designs came through and I got even more excited. And then when it got out into the world and we saw how excited, even people that had been brides like a month prior were still buying it because they were like, I don't care. I still want this bride bag because it wasn't available for my wedding.
Right. That was recently released, like last spring was that one?
Yeah.
Because I remember us posting about it and it doing one of the most phenomenal posts of the year. People went nuts over that.
Yes. And so I think we love to see that where we have an idea that we think is really going to resonate. And then you see it out in the world and it making people so happy, especially on like such an important day in someone's life. I love that. And I guess a little sneak peek is we do have some similar concepts coming out for other times that you would celebrate in your life. So get excited.
Oh, that's a great sneak peek.
Yeah.
So the mini backpacks, the ears here at Disney are a staple, along with your apparel line, which I think is beautiful. I got to see it at D23. Ilana discussed something called the new Cross Buddies. And she mentioned that. Are you guys allowed to talk about that? Can we get the fans excited about this?
Yeah, we can talk about it. So the mini backpack cosplay for us is kind of our staple, right? And I would say that now more than ever, people are very inspired by us. So we're like, you know what? What's after the mini backpack? How do we bring that next item to the market? And what we wanted to do is have something that we could create, that we could own, right? So when we thought cosplay and we thought, what's a casual way to use that? figural crossbodies for us have become a bigger part of our business lately.
Yeah.
Just crossbodies in general, just casual crossbodies. So we're like, you know what? We need to be able to find something that is cosplay and a crossbody that would resonate with everyone.
And unique, something unique and different.
And so we were just brainstorming, and I'm like, let's figure out a way that we can patent something that's different that no one has in the market. And we came out with this passport. So passport bags have been out for a while. It's a basic silhouette and shape, but we're like, how do you own this? And we're like, how can we have the character like hug something or hold on to something,
and
right?
I think this is an instance where we had an idea and the design team just like blew it out of the water. They came up with this design. The clasp, the way the whole bag functions is
so
really
I know we're talking about it. We can't explain it, but basically what it is the passport where it has two hands that have a little clasp that hold on, and they actually are holding on to a pouch,
a front
pocket that is a pouch. So it goes through that pocket and it clasps and holds it. If you want to take it off, you unclasp the hands, and it's actually reversible. And so the image that's on one side of the pouch can be taken off and flipped to the other side of the pouch.
So it's a really versatile bag. So you can control two things. You can control what image is showing from the front. Is Winnie the Pooh hugging Piglet or a honey pot that day? Just a random example.
Right.
And I also think you can also control if you even want a front pocket or if you want a lighter bag because you're carrying less that day. So it helps you control really the size and functionality of your bag as well as the image that's on the bag.
Yeah. And so for us, we always called them crossbody bags.
Okay.
And literally I was just like, crossbodies. And that's how it kind of came about. It's like, that's hilarious. Just call it crossbodies because they're holding their little buddy or whatever that is. So that's kind of how that name came about. And really, this bag too is going to retail for $60. So it's more of a price point entryway into Loungefly because we know our mini backpacks are in that $75 to $90, $100 range. Yeah. So we're like, we all understand there's a recession. We all understand there's all these things going on. What's an easier way for someone to come in and be introduced into Loungefly? And we thought this was a great way to do it as well.
That's amazing. So let's have a little fun. I was going to go more into design, but I think you both answered every question I had about going into and the background of Loungefly. Let's have a little fun to kind of wrap this all up because we really do appreciate you guys, both Liz and Derrick, for your time today spending with us. So we are diehard fans of Disney princesses. Is there any chance we can get a mini backpack of the iconic dress series?
I feel like our princess sequin collections are all based on the dress silhouettes that they're wearing. Have you so we've done a couple so far. We have obviously there's a lot of princesses, so we have way more coming through.
Right.
I would say that we've done cosplay versions of various dresses for our retail partners, our mom and pops, but for us, our sequin series of princesses
is our
there's no faces on them. It's just the outfit.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
So, and we're going to continue. We're going to bring you all the princesses.
Yes, this is a series that we cover every single princess.
And we cover it every single month. So like how Shop Disney has the Mickey continuity or all those kind of different collections they have, that's kind of like our version of that.
That is amazing. You have hundreds of intellectual properties currently available. What movie, TV, or personality would you personally love to see to come to Loungefly?
Rainbow Bright. Easy.
Oh,
for me.
good answer. Good answer.
So easy for me.
I mean, I feel like
what you got
personally, like, I don't know, but like, look, I love G.I. Joe. I love Transformers. I love He-Man. I love all that stuff, right?
Can I see a Soundwave one sometime?
Okay, so I can't.
No, don't go there because now
I'm just saying, maybe there is a little sneak peek conversation we can have about being more inclusive.
Oh yeah, we're allowed to talk about this.
Please.
So I want to talk about this. So obviously, mini backpacks and I would say ladies' accessories in general has kind of been what Loungefly is about. Our apparel is more unisex, and we're trying to be more inclusive.
And some of our bags are more unisex friendly. We know a lot of our male customers have asked for larger bags, and so we've leaned into some of the 12-inch, which we call like our medium-sized backpack. 15-inch, but we do have something exciting coming later in 23.
Yep.
Which is
we'll be announcing SDCC 2023, which is going to be more of a unisex everyday.
I like to call it an elevated unisex approach to accessories. And I can tell you that no silhouettes in this series currently exist in Loungefly. That's a good.
That's amazing. That actually was one of the questions we talked to you at D23 about, was having more men's style, more inclusiveness in gender roles in general, being more open to everybody's body type and what everybody loves.
Yeah, and there is a
bigger men out there who can't do a mini backpack on them.
I'm 6'5", 300. I don't fit a mini backpack. Let's just call it that, right? So we do have like this underground like men for minis, right?
Yes, I love
so we
them.
have this group of men that are turning into like they're making this thing. But we do want to bring
this is used. I want to. I use this every day. So
and I don't think it's just men. I think there's people that want more space for different, if they're traveling or depending on what they're doing that day, they want some more storage in their backpack for the day. So we're gonna address it.
Yeah. So be on the lookout for next year. More products, more inclusivity,
more silhouettes,
more everything. Okay, we're going to go 2 more fun questions. First off, do you have a favorite product that you own right now or that is part of Loungefly?
Yes. Our Stitch Shop Princess Books bag, the original, we dropped it in 2020.
Yes.
It is one of the most innovative bags I've ever seen. Our design and PD team did a phenomenal job. It's the first 5 original Disney princesses as books. The end covers open up. There's a hidden little library card inside where all the secondary characters have checked out the book on the release date of the movie. It's all the details for me, and that is my top favorite Loungefly item of all time.
For me, so when we came on board, being a partner with Funko, I was like, Brian Mariotti, like, how do we do something together? Like, so in SDCC 2019, we did our first Red Trooper Star Wars bag that actually came with a pop. So it was the first time we ever bundled something together. So we made a bag and a pop, kind of an idea together. And that one actually was a full-size backpack. So that was one of the first ones that I was able to get involved with and touch. And so I've loved that. But then for me too, pop pins are kind of my baby. I'm the pin guy. So I've been collecting Disney pins forever. And I treat them as the standard. So I'm always like, you're always trying to get to that level. So again, spoke to Brian at Funko. I'm like, I love to turn your pops into pins. And he's allowed us to do that. So I've got a small little design team that manufactures or designs and creates those things. So those are a lot of fun too.
Yeah, I do want to mention that down here in the Disney community, the Loungefly pins look phenomenal. They're on par, if not superior, to some of the other pins that are out there.
Oh, thank you so much.
We agree. We love them.
We love them. And you can see in pin collectors, because that's a whole community. Their love of what Loungefly is doing, and it's been accepted, which I find outstanding to be accepted that way, because you know how Disney fans can be. They can be very gatekeepy a little bit, and it's like, no, this was made by Disney, and then the rest of the community was like, no, Loungefly is now part of this.
We really, really worked so hard. Derrick is a huge pin collector. A lot of people in our teams are pin collectors, and we worked really hard to put the make and innovate and really put the quality into our pins. These are great hard enamel pins. There's a lot of innovation. I don't know if you've seen our new mixed emotion pins, where you can swap out the faces of the characters to change how they're feeling, and also our paper doll pins with magnetic outfit changes. Like, we're really trying to push the limits of pins and offer something different to those pin trader fans.
Yeah, as Disney's the standard, if I do a 3-inch boxed pin, I want there to be some sort of element of surprise and delight. I want movement. I want a lenticular. I want something different than just your basic layered pin. So we always make sure that we're doing that. And in reality, our pins are pretty affordable. If you think about it, our retail on our box pins are only $20. You know how much it would cost to get anything like that in the park. So
we try to keep them like attainable, collectible, and really different, unique and different. And we have some things we're working on for the future, and we plan on continuing our pin assortment.
So I'm going to step back 1 second on a question, because I think this is important for our audience. Listen, we have 87% of our audience is female. And then the other part is their husbands who are listening to them, or their significant other. So I want to go to, we were talking about inclusivity. Now, we always talk about this Disney community, or being fanboys of comics or 80s cartoons, or even going back to the 70s and Voltron and Transformers. What about men sports? I'm seeing a new line of, like, I've seen Dallas Cowboys, full line of that. Are we going to see more sports for guys who enjoy having Loungefly and want to show off their team pride?
Yes. So we have partnerships with Major League Baseball, the NFL, and the NBA. So we have dropped a couple collections of baseball so far. NFL will be coming out shortly.
I think it just
dropped. It's just dropped. So it's going to be sending out to stores shortly. And then also the NBA. So we are going to continue that. I mean, I think that we're still trying to get those customers. A lot of those fans don't know that Loungefly even exists as a brand, right? And so and so we're still looking to expand to those right retailers, those online people. But yes, we are going.
We believe in sports, and we believe in growing sports as we move forward in terms of silhouettes and covering more of our customers. So yes, you will see more in the future.
Yeah, fandom is not just movies and cartoons. Fandom is many, many things.
Okay, so I'm gonna say I have 2 more questions for you. One of them is a personal thing.
Sorry, no Phillies.
Yeah, I was going to go there, and then I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to go deeper than that. When can I see a Hasbro Pinkie Pie from the Twilight Sparkle years? A furry Pinkie Pie, full on mini backpack, everything. Like, that to me would be just ingenious. But anyway, is there anything that you would like our audience to know about what it's like working at Loungefly, and what it's like being part of the culture of Disney and all these other fandoms, that people are putting Loungefly the center of that? Like, they're using you guys as a center to meet and to talk and to be, and so now you guys are part of this community. Can you talk anything about that for us?
I think we can probably both answer, but I'll start and say, first of all, when we joined back in 2019, Loungefly was significantly smaller. We have always had an amazing internal team working to grow this brand, but we always say that there's no way that Loungefly would be where it's at without the amazing community that has, really accepted Loungefly and helped foster its growth by sharing on social, by wearing it and supporting us, especially throughout the pandemic. So I know that we always say this, but Derrick, myself, the entire Loungefly team are always so thankful to the Loungefly and Disney community that continues to support the brand and our new crazy ideas and innovation. As we expand into apparel and beyond, we really appreciate all the support. And I just want everyone to know that we have the best job ever, but it's a lot of work, and we have an amazing team working long hours and working really hard to bring these products. So I always hope that the community, when they're on social commenting or they're talking about our products, they remember that there's an amazing team behind each mini backpack, each hoodie, that works really, really tirelessly to make sure that the brand standards are always met and that we're giving our customers the best possible product. So we appreciate the community, and we hope that they appreciate the amazing team that we have working really hard.
And I think in addition to our community, one of the shifts that we made in 2019 is to really focus on the mom and pop segment of the retail world, right? Independents, stores, mom and pops. I've always called the forgotten tier of distribution. Like through the pandemic, they made everything happen. Like they were selling stuff, shipping it out of their garages, like keeping it going there where all of brick and mortar shut down. The parks were shut down. Like, like our products still were able to get to fans because of those mom and pops. And Liz and I have always wanted to make sure, since we've come on, that we're an approachable brand, right? Like when we go to a park, we want you to come up and say hi to us, that kind of a thing.
Say hi to the social team. Say hi to our, employees that work the booths at cons. Everybody loves to hear from our community, from our fans, loves to hear feedback. And if anybody ever messages us on social to the Loungefly social channels, or they comment on photos and wonder, oh, no one's ever going to read this, we read it. Everybody reads it, and we listen and we take it all into account. I
have so many examples of Facebook groups, and I will join these groups and I will watch the threads, and literally I will wait for the comment of, oh, Loungefly's never going to hear this, they don't care. And I always do the little meme of Roz from Monsters Inc. going, I'm watching, I'm always watching. I'll just throw up the meme and people are like, oh my gosh, they're actually here. No, we literally want the engagement.
We want
because we all buy brands, but how often do you feel connected to a brand? And I feel that connection is through our community, even our influencers, but our mom and pops, we'll go to our mom and pop events. We want that connection with the community so much because the community expects more of us than we do, to be honest with you. Like our process to get a sample done takes 3 and 4 times. It takes a long time because of our quality standards, but our fans expect the storytelling. They expect all of those extra things. So we don't ever want to disappoint them. But I just feel like the inclusivity of this brand and its community is unlike any other brand in the entire world, to be honest with you.
We feel extremely lucky to be a part of it, lucky to have such a great community, and everyone that says you have the best job ever, I truly feel like we do. We have the best team, we have the best community, and we love working on this product, and we hope to continue bringing this product for a long time.
Well, thank you both. Ladies and gentlemen, Liz DeSilva, Derrick Baca, Senior Vice Presidents of Creative. Hey, at least I got the end. Listen, I just want to say thank you guys so much. One thing I've taken out of this is the word lifestyle. Loungefly is a lifestyle brand. It's not just bags. It's not just ears. It truly is a lifestyle. So I want to thank you both for coming on the Chip and Company Podcast Network today.
And we want to thank you for taking the time to talk about Loungefly. We appreciate you.
Thank every one of your listeners and everyone who loves the brand. We just hope we keep making you happy.
Yes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for the Loungefly episode here at the Chip and Company Podcast Network. Once again, special thanks to Liz DeSilva, Derrick Baca, and Ilana McBride from Loungefly for talking about their amazing lifestyle brand. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button and tune in here at the Chip and Company Podcast Network. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys real soon.